At the end of April, the Card Player Poker Tour made its first trip to the beautiful Caribbean island of St. Martin for the latest CPPT series. The iconic Maho Beach, known for its beautiful sand and low-flying planes, was just a short walk from the Casino Royale, the site of the $200,000 guaranteed no-limit hold'em main event. Players came from around the world to the Sonesta Maho Beach Resort to catch some sun, grab a drink, and try their hand in some exciting poker action. In the end, a total of 138 entries were made in the $1,650 buy-in event, exceeding the guarantee. After 2 starting days, only 39 remained on May 2nd, and by that evening, the final table of 9 was decided. Before we show you how the final table played out, let's check out the chip counts heading into the final showdown. The Netherlands' Tommie Janssen held the chip lead with over $1 million in chips. The successful online tournament pro, known on the internet as Godfatty, had a number of tough opponents to deal with though, including all-time CPPT earnings leader Allyn Shulman, well-respected pro Mark Gregorich, and 2012 WPT Regional Best Bet Jacksonville champion Mark Steven Edwards. Edwards found himself involved in the first key hand of the final table as action folded to him in late position. Holding pocket nines, he made it $33,000 to go from the hijack with the blinds at $6,000, $12,000 with an ante of $2,000. After some thought, Tommie Janssen opted to 3-bet to $78,000 from the small blind with ace-king of clubs. When it got back to Edwards, he took a brief moment to think before moving in the rest of his chips. Janssen quickly called, and it was a classic race situation. Edwards maintained his lead after a Jack-8-7 flop. He improved to a straight when a 10 hit the turn and looked to be 1 card from doubling up until the Queen of Clubs on the river spiked a straight for Janssen.
Oh my God, how ugly.
The table reacted to the brutal beat before congratulating Edwards on his 9th place finish. He earned $4,360 for his deep run in this event. In the next key hand, Louis Pfaff opened to $27,000 from under the gun. Mark Gregorich announced that he was all in for about $205,000 directly to Pfaff's left with pocket jacks. Benichu Paul then came over the top, moving all in from the hijack seat to isolate with ace-king. It folded around to Pfaff, who folded as well. Paul flopped an ace on an ace-queen-2 flop. The ace of hearts on the turn left Gregorich 1 card away from elimination, and the 7 of clubs sealed his fate. Gregorich shook hands with his table mates and made his exit in 8th place with $5,470. It wasn't long until the next major showdown arose. Louis Pfaff made it $28,000 to go from the button with King-Queen of diamonds. Andrew Fair folded the small blind, and Benichu Paul made the call from the big blind with pocket 10s. The Queen-Jack-8 rainbow flop gave Pfaff the lead, and he bet $50,000 when checked to.
That is $50,000. 50.
Paul made the call with his 10s and found a 3rd when the 10 of diamonds hit the turn. He checked to Pfaff, who moved all in with his pair and open-ended straight flush draw. Paul quickly called and was a 69% favorite to win the hand going into the river. The 6 of spades on the river locked up the hand for Paul and sent Pfaff to the rail in 7th place, earning $6,960 for his deep run.
Congratulations, great game.
Nice, move for that night.
While Paul was still stacking his newfound chips, Andrew Fair made it $25,000 to go from the button with the King-8 of spades. Paul called with ace-9 from the small blind, and Allyn Shulman folded her big blind. The flop came down 9-8-2 with 2 spades, and Paul quickly checked to Fair, who bet $40,000. Paul announced that he was all in with a wave of his hand, and after some consideration, Fair made the call with second pair and the flush draw.
All in and a call.
The 7 of diamonds on the turn was a safe card for Paul, but the king of clubs on the river gave Fair 2 pair and the double up as the level wound down. The remaining 6 players then went on a 90-minute dinner break with the chip counts looking like this. Tommie Janssen remained in the lead, but Andrew Fair was hot on his heels. Miriam Manana was just hanging on and would come back from dinner with under 8 big blinds. When they returned to increased blinds of 8,000, 16,000 with an ante of 3,000, it didn't take long for her to get involved in a big pot. Tommie Janssen raised to 32,000 from the cutoff with ace-4, and Miriam Manana moved all in from the small blind with ace-jack. Janssen made the call and was well behind going into the flop, but he flopped a pair on a king 4-2 board and was able to avoid a jack on the turn and river. With that, he locked up the pot and sent Manana packing in 6th place. She earned $9,010 for her impressive showing here in St. Martin. The big hands just kept coming after dinner. Not long after Manana hit the rail, another one arose, with Andrew Fair opening to 35,000 from the button. Benichu Paul made the call from the small blind with pocket 8s. From the big blind, Allyn Shulman looked down at Jack 10 and moved all in with a squeeze play. Fair did indeed make the fold, but Paul decided to make the call with his 8s.
Calling me all in. Jack 10, pair of 8s.
The flop came down ace-ace-3 to keep Paul in the lead. The turn brought the 8 of diamonds to give Paul a full house, leaving Shulman drawing dead. The CPPT Venetian main event champ was eliminated in 5th place, adding $11,850 to her career earnings and bringing her CPPT earnings to $326,317, furthering her lead on the tour's all-time money list. Blinds increased to 12,000, 24,000 with an ante of 4,000 during 4-handed play. Though he had been over the million chip mark for much of the day, Tommie Janssen had fallen below the 500,000 mark by the time the next key hand arose. Janssen raised to 48,000 from the cutoff with pocket 10s, and Benichu Paul once again picked up pocket 8s, making the call from the big blind. Paul hit a set of 8s again on an ace-8-3 flop and checked. Janssen checked behind, and the final 8 hit the turn, giving Paul quads. Paul checked yet again, and Janssen checked behind. The river cruelly brought a 10, giving Janssen 10s full. Paul bet 50,000 with his 4 snowmen. After some consideration, Janssen made it 200,000 to go. Paul quickly motioned that he was all in, and Janssen just as quickly called, only to get the bad news that he had run into a monster. Just like that, Tommie Janssen was eliminated in 4th place, taking home $15,860 for his impressive run. Shortly after his elimination, the final 3 players went on a break, with the chip counts looking like this. Enrique Christoph, who had spent much of the day as one of the bigger stacks while staying out of any big showdown hands, had quietly taken the lead. Benichu Paul was close behind, with Andrew Fair being the shortest stack. When they returned from break, they played 3-handed for a while, with Fair mounting a comeback to pull closer to the pack. After passing around chips for a few orbits, the 3 players eventually decided to discuss making a deal. In the end, the 3 agreed to a chop that saw Paul and Fair each take home $31,000, while $37,950 and the title were awarded to Enrique Christoph, who held the chip lead at the time. And just like that, it was all over, and the latest Card Player Poker Tour main event champion was decided. After several days of great poker action and fun in the sun, Enrique Christoph walked away as the 2015 CPPT St. Martin champion. Congratulations once again to him, and thank you for watching this recap video. See you next time on the Card Player Poker Tour.